All right, you guys, welcome to the midweek edition of the Temple of Hoop podcast, NBA playoffs in full swing. I'm your co-host, Coach Maples, a.k.a. Jay Mapes. Here, Kings doing double duty again. Kings, what's up with you, big time?
Doing good, man. Getting the volume up.
Man. Right. Playoffs in full swing. And before we get into the two series we're going to talk about in depth, man, what I'm really appreciating is these young players stepping up, man. Mainly,
Yep.
Devin Booker, John Morant. John Morant, I think he came within 2 or 3 points of breaking the record for most points in your first two playoff games. All the way like George Mikan has the record.
Did he have
That's how crazy it went.
did did, did, did he have 50 tonight, or did
It,
he
it was
get to 50, or was he close?
it was close. I turned it off right when during middle of garbage time, so I got to double back. But I know he came within like 2 or 3 points short of the record if he didn't tie it at least. But that's crazy. His first two playoff games against the number one seed on the road. Booker's not backing down against the Lakers. You got to respect that. 1-1 in that series. And then Luka is just doing whatever he wants to the Clippers. But you got to respect these youngins, man, in their first playoff runs, or even Luka's second playoff run. But you got to respect these youngins out here trying to go get it with the bacon on the line, man.
Yeah. I mean, it's great to see young guys being put in these situations and then being able to succeed and overcome it. That's what the league needed. They needed that next group of guys who was going to be big in the playoffs. Like I said, it's with the way the Clippers look, especially, it's definitely looking like the young guys are next. And it's going to definitely transition from KD, LeBron, Steph to these younger under 25 guys,
Yeah.
Giannis and Embiid's and the younger ones.
Yeah,
As they go for sure.
don't let me forget Trey. Trey is going crazy in his series
Yeah,
at 1-1.
he's cooking. He's cooking.
Yeah, so don't let me forget him either. And there's a lot was said actually about Trey about whether his game is going to actually translate as a smaller guard, and he's shutting that up with prejudice. So definitely got to give props there. Tonight we are talking about the two LA teams in their respective series. A lot going on. First off, it's definitely emergency time for the Clippers. Down 2-0. I just alluded to, Luka is pretty much doing whatever he wants. They can't stop him from scoring. They can't stop him from passing. He's controlling the tempo of the game, and they are down 2-0. Shout out Clippers Film and Jamal Christopher. Jamal, we had him on Clippers 24/7 on Twitter.
Yeah.
I asked those guys, I was like, honestly, before I decide if they're cooked or not, I was like, is this bad Clippers or good Mavs? From what they raised some good points. The Mavericks are shooting a 3-point, getting very lucky with the three ball. Not lucky, but they're making a lot of threes. You know how that ebbs and flows through a series. And Luka's out of control. And then I would say the nervous part is they did that on the road and they're going home. So that's a nervous part about it.
Yeah, I mean, they're saying the stuff with the threes, but like, we was talking about the spaces, and then Tony was alluding to. I mean, the role players are comfortable. It's not like those threes are.
Right.
It's not like those threes are being defended, bro. Those threes are wide open. So I mean, yeah, you can say they're shooting ridiculous from three, but are you defending the three? You know what I mean? It's not like what we're seeing with the Memphis and Utah, where Utah's getting some good looks from three, but you can clearly see like they're just walking up, firing threes with guys in their face, guys in their space, and just hitting. You know what I mean? They're hitting on closeouts and everything, but like that's not what's going on with the Mavs. The Mavs are just open because they're doubling, they're missing rotation. So
yeah, they're not. When you defend a player of Luka's caliber, you have to be on the string, or they're just gonna find a weakness every time. Like that's how smart and what level he's on right now. It's kind of crazy to see. And like on the scary part of it is, Kawhi has played great both games offensively. Paul George only had a bad first half. I mean, he was good in the second half of game one and most of game two. So you got two good games from your guys. It's just the Mavs are beating you the hell up, from player 3 through 8. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's not even close. Morris had a career year. He can't make anything the first two games of the series. He's kind of been their third guy, quote unquote. You got Zubac, who is really good for them to help their defense get better over the season. but the matchup is bad, so he can't stay on the floor like that. So the defense is back to being below average, and they just can't generate stops. It's rough right now. It's his first 1-4. I want to give Kawhi some respect here. He's a two-time champion. He's been down the last championship he won. He was down 2-0 in the conference finals. They figured it out. So I want to ask you, are they cooked? Is it over, in your opinion?
Shoot, I mean, definitely it looks like that.
I mean, they gotta win. They gotta win 4 out of 5.
They got to win 4 out of 5, and they have shown that they can't defend. Um, they can't defend Luka at all. I will say this for the people who feel like you know uh, they can't make an adjustment. Ty Lue has made these adjustments at in these type of similar situations. But granted, those adjustments were made with LeBron James on his team. He's made the defensive adjustments for the coverages, but again, that was with LeBron. And the thing with LeBron defensively, and this is where you get into that argument too about defensive versatility. LeBron is like can be a captain of a defense. Like he can command rotations and make sure guys are in their proper place because he can be the help side guy. So now you're not worried about if you have the initial defensive coverage. If you have your initial defensive guys doing, committing to a certain coverage, you're not worried about the back end because you have your quarterback back there who's going to make sure the guys is on the string because that's what LeBron does, as well as being able to obviously have his one-on-one defense as we saw even yet last night against Book. He had a great stop with Brooke on Devin Booker in the fourth quarter. Standing him up and shading him to where he needed to go. So LeBron is super versatile on defense. That's where Kawhi – like that's where Kawhi hasn't been that guy. And that's why there were whispers of, he's always been a great on-ball defender. He's always been a terror, off ball with playing the passing coverage. But there were some whispers of, could he replicate certain things without Tim Duncan? You know what I mean? That was a little bit of the whispers early on because Tim Duncan was looked as the anchor of the Spurs getting everybody in the right positions. He goes to the Raptors. You know what I'm saying? And people looked at as him carrying, but they didn't understand that Nurse had that structure in place as well. You have Marc Gasol, Kyle Lowry, Serge Ibaka, very high IQ guys who knew how to captain the defense, knew how to make sure the rotations were falling a certain way. I'm not sure Kawhi can do that. You know what I mean? I'm not sure Kawhi can say, hey, y'all handle this defensive coverage initially, and I'm going to be at the back end and make sure everybody else is moving. Because that takes a vocal leader. You know what I mean? That takes a guy who's vocal, the guy that guys are going to hear his voice and listen to and be like, oh, I better be right here because I know he's behind me. We need to be on this. So that's what's going to take because, like you said, that's the only way you can guard Luka. You have to be on the string. That's what it's going to take because they can score. I don't think they need to change anything offensively. You know what I mean? The Clippers can score. They're not getting stops. So everything just has to be you have to get stops.
Right. And I think the Clippers they tried PG and Kawhi on Luka a lot more, and it didn't really matter with the shots he was hitting. Switching on from that, like a lot of this to me is Luka's incredible. Like that's what it is to me. That's the scary part for the Clippers. It's like you can adjust, but right now you have a player who's clearly separating stuff from the rest, everybody else in the series. So what is your schematic suggestion to how they can stop or not stop? You're not going to stop him. Slow down Luka, or just he'll get his numbers, but a lot less efficiently. So what is your suggestion?
It's two things. It's either you play Ibaka a lot and hope that he can switch and provide rim protection help while you have like guys like Bev or whoever or Batum on him and actually stick tight to him and make him have to dribble and be aggressive with the ball. Or you just, take Kawhi and PG and be like, look, we're going to play Luka one-on-one. We're going to provide help on the drives so he can do quick kickouts. and do a quick rotation all over. You know what I mean? Like kind of how you play LeBron, right? When LeBron drives, right? You send the help on the drive to force the pass to the three, and then you rotate it over to try and run those guys off the line or make them make a shot, a contested three on a closeout. That's like the only two ways you can really defend them at this point because you can't trap or nothing because they're not moving on rotations to do early traps or to do, you know what I mean? Or to they
Yeah,
can't
it's
on the
just
pick and roll. Like they're not rotating good enough to do those type of coverages. You know what I mean? So it has to be simpler defense where it's like, you either play Serge Ibaka and apply ball pressure, have Serge switch and be able to bail him out at the rim, or you say, look, we're gonna guard Luka straight up, force him into the jumpers, and help at the rim if he gets by, his matchups that he gets switches on. Like that's the only two options they have at this point because they're not coached well enough to throw anything exotic, honestly.
yeah, right. Like when I hear people, break down the series, whether it's the guys on TV or guys I like on Twitter, um, even the things they're trying to, they're not executing it properly. So even if they try one of those things you said, there's a breakdown somewhere which
Yep,
leads to an open three. So it's like that's also another issue they're going to. Whatever they try, they can't even do it properly to see if it works. So somebody's
yeah,
getting open. So and that's kind of strange to me for a team with a championship coach and a bunch of veterans. There's not a lot of young guys playing. And
that's the that's like the shocking thing.
right.
They're playing defense like they're a young, inexperienced team. That's kind of weird.
Yeah, it's like you would think, they had guys play more. They didn't sit guys as much. Towards the end they did, I think. And I think that the crazy part is and they kind of, there's I'm not gonna accuse like on wax, but there are rumblings that they legitimately, sought this matchup. You see with how they behaved with their resting at the end of the season. So that, on top of everything looks kind of worse in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't know why. I mean, they haven't looked good against the Mavericks often. So them seeking that out, I don't know what they were thinking. Maybe they would be able to physically, punk Luca again and KP. But it's definitely backfiring a lot on them. And honestly, like we just have to be honest, this is just bad leadership by Kawhi here. I mean, he hasn't established good traits or tendencies. You know what I mean? Like you see stuff like with the Lakers where KCP been messing up and KCP been hesitant on his shot. And after a bad game from his end offense in terms of shooting and making bad reads, even when they're gonna win, LeBron comes up to him and say, hey man, I want you to shoot the ball.
Right, right, right.
You know what I'm saying? Those type of things help your teammates be like, all right, my guy has confidence in me that I can get the job done. So I'm next time I'm gonna make sure I try to get the job done. Like Kawhi don't do none of that. So it's like even if I tell you like, hey man, dig in and you know what I mean, dig in, switch, rotate, and play your ass off on defense. Even if I say that's what you have to do, sell out and may the best man win. I don't trust that they're gonna do it to the effort it needs to be done because Kawhi is not the type of guy to inspire dudes to go like 110%. He had other dudes to do that for him. You
He
know what I mean?
strikes me as more of a. This is all obviously on the outside looking in. Like we don't have any sources, but
Right, right. Of
he strikes
course.
me as a guy. Is like, I mean, he does his job. He works hard. He plays
Yeah,
hard. But
exactly.
he's more of a, just I'm going to set an example this way. He's not going to get on guys, and I think that's maybe what Clippers have been lacking these last couple years. Like, there's no verbal guy to take that part of it to keep everybody accountable. Kawhi's more so I'm going to do my job and follow me that way.
Yeah, and that's great when you have, like I said, when you have
Other
Tim,
yeah,
when you have
right.
Tim Duncan on your team, that's great because he'll make sure other guys is in line privately as well as Manu and Tony. Or if you have Kyle Lowry, who's a vocal guy as well as Marcus All captaining the back end and having make sure guys are in. When you have those guys around you, yeah, it's cool. You know what I mean? Just show up, work hard by example. That's it. But when you don't have those presents, like it's the psychology thing in sports. Sometimes a lot of dudes need that kick in the butt to get going, as coaches know. And I've been on teams where even it's been a bad half, And even I had to step in and say and get a speech going like, come on, bro, we practiced too hard to be going out like this for us to get going. Then we get going in the second half. Like we have to have that vocal leadership. Somebody step in who's gonna lead by example, effort as well as be vocal about it to get into guys to make them internalize it. Yeah, like that's what they need. Honestly, they just need a gut check because look, they have the talent to guard the Mavericks. They're just not putting effort into doing it. Their rotations, they're not closing out with passion. You know what I mean? They're not defending with passion. Like it's literally I don't see the passion or the desire for them to want to sell out.
Yeah,
And
their efforts got to be their efforts got to go up a notch. I 100% uh, agree there. I mean, we will see. The next game is on. I think they got two. They got 2 days off actually, so they might go right back at it on Friday. Let me
look,
check.
I'll say this: man, I won't be shocked if the Clippers win the next 2 games because they have the talent to. Like
Right.
they have the talent to, bro. Like they just need a gut check. Like this is a gut check for them. Like
Yeah, the next game is on Friday, so we will see how that goes. Woo, that season on the line pretty much 3-0
yeah, it's on the line.
is a death wish.
On the line because if they go down 3-0 with the game 4 on the road with that type of locker room, they're done.
It,
It's
it might be a massacre. It might be a massacre on Sunday. Actually, it might,
yeah, it really might be
might be a
that
Sunday
50-point
massacre.
blowout.
I mean, I'm going to say it's at least going to come back 3-1. I don't think those guys are going to get swept. I think they have pride will kick in at some point. I think for that they won't get swept. I'll say that much. Um,
I'll put this prediction out there. If they win game 3, I think it'll go back 2-2.
that'll be get the home court back. That'll be interesting. So moving on, staying in LA, the other series we want to look at midweek, Lakers Suns. Lakers responded in a big way after the game 1 loss. Some adjustments. Mark got in there. They went AD at the 5. AD had a much more physical disposition. His AD at the 5 minutes. The Lakers were absolutely locked down the stretch when it got tight. AD at the 5 kind of shut the Suns down late. It's 1-1 going back to Staples. Got fans in there. This is LeBron's first playoff game in Staples. Believe it or not,
Yeah, it is.
his
Yeah.
third year as a Laker. Who thought we'd be saying that? But injury first year, COVID second year. So here we are. I expected to have high energy, even with the limited number of fans that are allowed. What are you expecting from Game 3? We're looking ahead here before we look throughout the series. Let's start. What did you like in Game 2 that you want to see in Game 3? Let's start there.
I think Vogel has a good handle on the Andre Drummond situation. And I say this because Andre Drummond was absolutely balling last game. He was doing excellent in his minutes, and Vogel didn't use that as an excuse to overplay Andre Drummond minutes. So Vogel, I think, has a good handle on understanding that, hey, if I play Andre Drummond for this amount of minutes and he does what we need him to do, that's good. That's a win. That's a win. I don't have to overdo it. You know what I mean? Like we've gotten what we needed to get accomplished in those minutes. He then also said that, hey, Ayton's dominating us in the glass. I'm not sure if Trez can switch out on these guards. So if I'm going to play a back of 5, I need to play one who's great positional defense, who's going to at least be able to affect shots and also open up our offense. And that's when he played Marc Gasol. Marc Gasol had some timing threes again. He was, he gave up layups to you could see the Suns play with a lot of speed. So when they were speed running and speed blitzing those pick and rolls, Payne was getting to the rim.
Well, I say Payne was going right around Mark. They was definitely attacking that. That's gonna be a good call there.
Book was attacking in the tween game. Even CP3 tried to get going a little bit. So those hurt, but I think it's all spacing as well as positional defense made those minutes kind of a wash, which I think is a good thing because it allowed, AD to rest and our other bigs to rest. I think the biggest thing in that game too, because a lot of people look at AD's points, but he really went to the line a lot. He didn't really dominate scoring in terms of, making buckets. It was mostly he got to the line. He was able to get the Lakers points because he was picking the fouls. But I think this was big because the role players won that, particularly Andre Drummond and then my guy Dennis Schroeder. They won this game. Dennis Schroeder was our second leading scorer with 24 points. just an overall good game. You know, he stuck on Cameron Payne ISO at the end at the closing lineup and was stopping that penetration again. So that was a great thing for the Lakers going into next game. So I think they have confidence knowing that their role guys can pick up the slack at any time for the stars. So whenever LeBron and AD decide to actually get going from a scoring standpoint, it's to get their usual 30s like they're normally accustomed to dominating with, this is pretty much over. So
yeah, I think it's tough. I mean, and I think the Suns are elite. It's just with Chris Paul in the physical condition that he is.
yep.
I think it just pretty much takes any chance they have of making this a series, which I thought it was going to be. I thought even if it was 5-6 games, I was like, it's going to be a close 5-6. And game 2 was close, but they just really need. I think you can see Frank finally apply the pressure point of really saying, okay, what can Chris Paul do? Because he just threw the kitchen sink at Book late and was like, no, you're not going to beat us. Somebody else will have to do it. And Chris, his shot chart, nothing outside the key.
Yep.
So it's like, and that's not him at all at this point. He takes threes, he takes the mid range, and he's not even getting those up. So he's obviously way more seriously hurt than they're letting on, in my opinion, which is standard for playoffs. They don't tell you how bad a guy is hurt.
Definitely not.
Yeah, so I think the Lakers are just gonna hit that pressure point, and that'll be a wrap. They're gonna make Payne try to have another game like he had. They'll be like, Payne, okay, that was great. Now do it again in LA.
do it again, exactly.
If you're like that, the pick and roll, stop and go. Actually, I'll say he can drive, but those step back threes he was hitting, and go ahead, do that again.
Yeah,
that's what I want to see. If he can replicate that, then you got it. But I think that's Lakers are just going to put pressure on those guys to produce. And Jay Crowder, I mean, I told you we a step from he's with us. So, I mean,
Jay, man.
What I am looking forward to, Kuz and KCP haven't got it going offensively, but usually in the playoffs, role players produce at home. And I'm also looking for the Lakers shooting in general to kind of regress, positive regression to the mean, because I think their open threes are way below average right now. All the numbers I'm seeing, so if those get regression to the mean, I think they can, jump out to something early and kind of coast.
Yeah. I mean, I think the thing with the Lakers is they gonna get out. They're gonna have some of these games where they do hit their threes, but the key for them is they have to be able to recognize, especially if the jumpers aren't falling. And I think Vogel kind of recognized that. That's why he put Marc Gasol in to open up the floor, right?
Right.
If the jumpers are falling, you have to open up the driving lanes, bro. Like we have not been like they keep saying like when we hit our threes we'll be good, right? But we have not been a consistent 3-point shooting team all year.
Roller coaster.
So even like relying on that thought, like you can't just rely on that thought. Like obviously, if you're driving, you have to make that pass for sure. But don't be hunting those threes really. Like really try to be aggressive and trying to find driving lanes and score inside. That's why I said Dennis Schroeder is going to be a crucial part.
I was just going to say that.
Regardless of however people want to feel about bro, if he's not the third leading scorer on the team, we're not winning anything because he's going to keep the ship alive when Bron is compromised or Bron is like having an off game. He's going to still keep that rim pressure threat alive consistently. Who's going to get the other threes to open up because they're going to have to sink every time he's attacking that paint. And he also gives another ball handler for the pick and roll for the big. So it's like, you know what I mean? So it's like these people got to understand, bro, we need these dynamic scores. That's how you win in the playoffs. That's how you create offense. That's how you have games like what we saw yesterday where, Bron and AD were not good for most of the game, but that didn't matter because we had Dennis and then we had Drummond, having good games because they're talented players as role players. So that's why you need talent. And I'll personally apologize for Drummond. You know what I mean? I admit it. He was balling, and he finally, he lived up to the physical talent that he had. Like that's why they picked him up. Like when you live up to your talent, you can get by when your stars aren't producing. If your role players are talented and doing what they need to do.
Yeah, I'm to the point where I'm just hoping he's a net the negative plays don't outweigh the positive plays.
Exactly.
For every fumble, turnover, or missed layup, just get a putback or steal a possession that leads to an open three, and I
Yep.
can live with the results. And again, like Tony Parker said, the homie Tony Parker, he said, just you got to look at him like JaVale. Hope you get him,
Yep.
offensive rebound, put back a big block, and then keep it pushing.
Exactly. Yeah, like it's not for real. Like Tony was saying, man. If when he does get a miss, just take it and take him out. You know what I
Right.
mean? Don't worry about putting it back in. Just accept that you win those minutes and go back to the game plan you were trying to use to win the game.
Right. Real quick before we get out of here, just want to that's a game 2, game 3 tomorrow, 7 o'clock Pacific on ESPN. So I'm looking forward to that. It's on TNT, excuse me. TNT got the games until all the way through Friday. Other 2 games, we'll talk about those for a minute. The 4:30 game is the Bucks. The 4 o'clock game, 4:30 game, Bucks Heat. Do the Miami Heat make a stand, or do the Bucks put the foot on their throat tomorrow?
Man, I think based off pride from Jimmy, pride from Spo, I expect the Miami Heat to win this game tomorrow. I feel like they're gonna get a win tomorrow. I feel like we're gonna get a 2-1 series going, and we're gonna have a competitive game 4. I do think the Bucks win this series in 6, and I'm still sticking with that. I just don't see Miami folding and getting swept. Maybe the Bucks winning in 5. You know what I mean? Because they do have, if they do go up 3-1, they do have game 5 at home. But I just don't see I at least don't see the Miami Heat getting swept.
Yeah, I just Jimmy's been. I think they said these are the worst playoff games of his career. These first 2 games.
Yeah,
and I think that's gonna. I give 3 guys credit, mainly Giannis for finally sticking a guy, a primary guy on the other team, defending well.
We got him for getting cooked, but I mean the numbers have actually been
Exactly.
good in Milwaukee.
It was just the moment and the free throws that led up to it. I was hot, and that was he just all them free throws, then got cooked to go to OT. I was like, come on, baby. But it's been Giannis, it's been Drew, even the minutes where PJ Tucker's in, just pretty much giving Jimmy all he can handle. And those guys are, I think it's tough for Jimmy because Jimmy's never been a quickness guy. He's been able to overpower guys to get to his spots, and he can't do that to any of those 3 players.
Yep.
So it's been a little rougher for him. So I got to give credit to those guys. But I think Jimmy's going to play better. I mean, he's like 4 for. It's like the shooting is awful. I think it's going to at least have a slight tick. I'm going to say the Miami Heat win tomorrow and lose the next game, and I'll take the Bucks in 5. I just don't think Miami just can't score.
Yeah,
in my opinion. And if the Bucks are hitting threes, like they tried to wall up, I think if you saw Spo went away from the wall because it was just they just were making too many threes, unlike years past. So it's I think you and Mars said it. It's like the wall don't work if you got shooters making shots because that's what you can see. So
I mean, it works when you have Eric Bledsoe,
right?
Malcolm Brogdon, who wasn't getting up. Like the thing with Brogdon, he was shooting 50-49, but some Bucks writers were saying it was fake because
the volume.
Yeah. So, when you have guys who are not willing to take those threes, the wall's going to work because you have bad shooters or guys who are not trying to shoot. But when you have guys like Drew Holiday, when you have guys like Bryn Forbes, you know what I mean? These are players who are going to want to get the ball up when they touch the rock. They're going to want to shoot that rock. Dante's getting more confident in shooting the three. If he has the openly, he's not hesitating. And then they have some young guys too who get it up. And obviously PJ Tucker, he's a professional. He gets the corner, he's shooting that.
Right.
So it's a whole different Bucks team. They're constructed for the playoffs. They're professionals. They're vets. You know what I mean?
I'll say this. I think why the Bucks are different, they just added 3 just mentally to the 3 guys they added that are super mentally tough and skilled guys. Drew Holiday, Bobby Portis, PJ Tucker. Just Absolutely. 3 guys who are not going to fold when it gets tough, who are skilled and they understand their responsibility. So
and they all can shoot threes and hit threes.
exactly,
You know,
yes. So I think
it fits the system.
And I think somebody else brought a great point. Giannis is bringing the ball up way less.
Yep.
Middleton and Drew do a lot of initiating, and that makes his life a hell of a lot easier. So it's a different. But I'm looking forward. I'm not trying to curse him. I'm really looking forward to the Nets Bucks in round 2. I think people are going to be shocked at how good that series is.
Yeah, man. Middleton has a lot more. He's building up on the confidence he built last year to end that Heat series, man. He feels like, he can go get a bucket late in the game now. So I feel like they got like a pseudo closer in Middleton, in the sense that you want Giannis to go get his, but if you do need big shots, Middleton is capable and Drew Holiday is capable. So that's a good thing with the Bucks. Even if they don't have that guy who's like, we want the ball in his hands at all times, they have multiple guys who can.
And I think Drew took pressure off Chris on the perimeter. Like on those nights, if Giannis doesn't have it going, I think Chris knows that, okay, Drew got me too, right? Yeah, so not leaning on Blitz. So I think that's been a big help. The other game that's tomorrow, we're gonna tap into real quick. Nuggets and Blazers, game 3 in the Motor Center, all the way in Portland. Portland took the split. I think this is a long series, but who do you got tomorrow?
Role players love playing at home, man. I got Portland. They're gonna be hitting threes all night, in my opinion.
Yeah, their role players are awful in game. That was pretty much the difference in game 2. Usually, you get Dame going like that early. I think they started off struggling early. Dame went ballistic to get him back in the game. He just never really got any help throughout the game to make that a serious contest.
I think he's gonna get a lot of it tomorrow.
Yeah, and I was it's weird. I was watching the stats. Like, you look at the rosters. Denver has nothing for Dame, and Portland has nothing for Joker. So it's like those guys are going to eat. And I think, like you said, Stotts is playing the game where I'm going to trust Dame to outscore Joker, and everybody else kind of let the chips fall where they may, and that's going to decide the series, in my opinion. So
it is. It's going to be first. Like I said, first 1 to 120
every night. Yeah. Hopefully the refs are better, because that game 2 referee pretty much destroyed the flow of the game. So we'll see. Anyway, y'all, make sure you tap in. Myself and Kings. Follow Kings on Twitter. It's Kings, bruh. Myself, JJ Maples 55_MST. Follow, subscribe to pod. Rate it. Drop a detailed rating. Give us feedback. We tap back in on the timeline. We appreciate you guys for tapping in. We might do a Spaces Out the Blue again tomorrow. Seemed like y'all messing with it. We might rock with that again after the Lakers-Suns game. So make sure you tap in. And peace. We are out of here.
Yes, sir. Peace, y'all.